Hey, so I've been thinking a lot about the Dallas Cowboys defense, especially compared to the Eagles last year. Now, you probably heard a lot about the Eagles defense being this unstoppable force, right? The #1 seed, great front, and all that. But here's the thing that blew me away when I started digging into the numbers. The Eagles only had 41 sacks all season. Yeah, you heard that right, 41 sacks. That's surprising, especially since they were often ahead in games and their offense was scoring a lot. Usually, when a team is ahead, opponents have to pass the ball more to catch up, which means more chances for sacks. So you'd expect the Eagles to be racking up sacks left and right. But nope, only 41. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, who everyone agrees were not good last year, let's just say we sucked, actually finished third in the league with 53 sacks. That's 12 more sacks than the Eagles, despite having a defense that struggled to get off the field. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Now here's the question for you. How do you think the Cowboys pulled that off? Was it just sheer talent from guys like Micah Parsons or something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear what you think. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any Cowboys updates coming your way. We're trying to hit 14,000 subs, and every single one helps the channel grow. All right? So we know the Cowboys were terrible overall, but that pass rush showed up. Next, we'll dig into how losing some players and adding others might change the sack game this season. But before we jump there, let me know. Do you think the Cowboys can actually surpass the Eagles this year in sacks? Yes or no? Cast your vote below and stay tuned, because this defense could surprise us all. All right, now let's break down what's changing on the Cowboys' defensive line and how that could affect their sack numbers this season. First off, we lost Daw, and honestly, he wasn't exactly a sack machine. He had just 3 sacks last year, so his departure doesn't hurt too much on that front. The good news? We've got Moron Nealon stepping in, and the expectation is he'll at least match those 3 sacks, if not do better. That's a solid start because it means the Cowboys aren't losing much pass rushing power there. Then you've got Micah Parsons. This guy's an absolute beast when healthy. He racked up 12.5 sacks last season, and he missed some games. So, assuming he stays on the field, we're looking at a similar or better total from him this year. That's a big chunk of the pass rush right there, but it doesn't stop with those two. The Cowboys also added Dante Fowler, who was around a 10-sack guy before, though his average over the last couple seasons is closer to 6 sacks. Still, 6 is nothing to sneeze at, and he'll be hungry to prove himself again in Dallas. Don't forget about Sam Williams, who's still pretty new but has shown flashes with 4.5 sacks in limited time. And then there's Donovan Ezeruaku, our rookie pass rusher. Looking at past rookies and what they've done for the Cowboys, 5 sacks would be a solid prediction for him. It's that mix of experienced players and fresh talent that makes this defensive front exciting. So when you add all that up, Moron Nealon, Micah Parsons, Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, and Donovan Ezeruaku, you've got a real shot at hitting, or even surpassing 60 sacks as a team this season. That would be huge, especially considering where we came from last year. What do you think about the new defensive lineup? Do you believe these guys can deliver the pressure we need? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown so far, don't forget to like the video and share it with your Cowboys friends. It really helps us hit that 14,000 subscriber goal and keeps us bringing you the best Cowboys content. Next up, we'll talk about how the Cowboys' offense plays into this sack potential and why scoring more points could actually lead to even more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Now let's talk about why the Cowboys' offense could actually be a secret weapon for the defense this season. It might sound a little backwards at first. How does scoring more points help your defense get more sacks? But here's the deal. When the offense puts up more points, the other team usually ends up playing from behind more often. And when a team is trailing, what do they have to do? They have to pass. That means more passing attempts and more chances for the Cowboys' pass rush to get after the quarterback. Last season, the Cowboys' offense struggled to score consistently, which often meant games were either close or the Cowboys were behind and trying to catch up. But at the same time, the defense was on the field a lot, and teams that were ahead sometimes ran the ball to eat up the clock instead of passing. That limited the number of passing situations the defense faced, reducing sack opportunities. This year, with better weapons like Jalen Pickens alongside CeeDee Lamb and a more balanced attack that mixes a solid running game with an improved passing game, the offense should put up more points and control the clock better. More points on the board means opponents will be forced to throw more to keep up, giving the Cowboys' defense the upper hand to generate sacks. Think about it. If the offense can sustain drives and score, opposing quarterbacks will have to step up in pressure-filled passing situations. That's exactly where players like Micah Parsons, Dante Fowler, and the new additions can shine. So it's not just about individual defensive talent, it's also about how the offense's improved performance creates more opportunities for the defense to dominate. If everything clicks, the Cowboys could be a nightmare for opposing QBs this season. What's your take? Do you think the offense stepping up will give the defense the edge they need to hit those 60 sacks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're getting closer to that 14,000 subscriber mark, and your support means everything. Up next, we'll dive into some surprising stats comparing the Cowboys and Eagles' sack totals from last season, and why those numbers don't add up the way you might expect. All right, now let's get into some of those surprising numbers from last season, because they don't exactly line up with what you might expect. The Eagles were the #1 seed, a top team with a dominant defensive front, right? You'd think they'd be racking up sacks like crazy, but guess what? They only managed 41 sacks last season. That's it. For a team that many fans say is all-world on defense, that number seems low. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, who we all agree had a rough year and struggled defensively, somehow ended up third in the NFL in sacks with 53. That's 12 more sacks than the Eagles. How does that even happen? It's almost crazy to think about. The Cowboys had a defense that couldn't get off the field, that couldn't force punts in some games. Yet, they still pressured quarterbacks enough to rack up sacks like that. This stat tells you something important. The Cowboys' pass rush talent is legit, even if the rest of the defense struggled. Micah Parsons alone had over 12 sacks despite missing some games due to injury. Add in Dante Fowler, who's expected to provide strong pressure, and some solid contributions from players like Sam Williams and Donovan Ezeuruaku, and you start to see how this team can really turn up the heat on opposing quarterbacks. But what's even more interesting is how the Cowboys managed to get more sacks than a top defense while being behind in games or dealing with weak overall defensive performance. It shows that when it comes to getting to the quarterback, the Cowboys have a unique edge. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think this pass rush will improve enough this year to outpace the Eagles and maybe even hit that 60-sack mark? Vote yes or no in the comments, and don't forget to give the video a like if you're hyped about the Cowboys' defense this season. Before we finish up, I want to remind you to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the final chapter where we break down the key players who will make all this happen. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So, here's where it all comes together. The Dallas Cowboys have a real shot at making some serious noise with their pass rush this year. We talked about the surprising numbers from last season. The Cowboys, despite a struggling defense overall, ranked third in sacks, even outpacing the Eagles. That's no small feat. The mix of returning stars like Micah Parsons, plus new additions like Dante Fowler and rookies who've shown promise, sets the stage for something special. What really excites me is the team's balanced offensive attack this season. With better weapons on offense, like CeeDee Lamb and the addition of Tony Pollard, the Cowboys should be scoring more points and putting opponents behind early. And when other teams are playing from behind, they're forced to pass more. More passing equals more opportunities for sacks, and that's where the Cowboys' defense can capitalize. It's also worth noting that the Cowboys' ability to get pressure isn't just about the numbers. It's about the impact those sacks have on the game, disrupting drives, forcing turnovers, and shifting momentum. If this defense can keep up the pressure, it could change the whole dynamic for Dallas. Now, I want to hear from you. How many sacks do you think the Cowboys will finish with this year? Drop your prediction in the comments. Are we looking at 50, 60, or maybe even more? Let's get that conversation going. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're aiming to hit 14,000 subscribers, and your support means the world. Smash that like button too if you're excited about what the Cowboys are building on defense this season. Thanks for sticking around for this deep dive. Stay tuned to Cowboys News TV for all the latest updates, breakdowns, and fan talks. We're just getting started, and this season could be one for the ages.